Bien, mes enfants, nous allons à Paris. Il faut que vous sachiez.
I've seen research showing that students retain facts much longer when learning by a combination of sight and sound. Students are also more motivated and pay.
Well, our nursing staff uses the overhead to train our nurses how to fill out a chart or write progress notes. I mean, you can write directly on a transparency.
We may get a request one afternoon for a presentation that's due the next day. With overheads, we can provide the quality our executives demand.
You know, I used to be afraid to speak in front of a group, but now I'm more confident because I'm more prepared. The visuals keep me and the group on track.
Objectives we need to create.
Are your meetings or classes accomplishing as much as you would like them to? The fact is, conducting good meetings requires certain learned procedures and skills. At 3M, we have been in the meeting business for over 30 years. We want to help you improve the quality of the meetings you lead, either in the business or classroom environment, and to make you feel more confident and professional about your skills. So we'll focus on what we think is one of the most basic and effective ways to improve any kind of meeting, and that's the use of overhead visuals. Desktop computers and software programs for presentation and business graphics make overhead visuals available to everyone. There are significant advantages to working with a software program. It's the fastest way to create visuals yourself. With their built-in templates, software programs automatically set up a professional design, freeing you to concentrate on your content. Revisions are easy, and you're free to mix text, charts, and images. The results are low in cost, but high in quality and impact. Overhead visuals can make your presentation more powerful and commanding, more impressive and convincing, more focused and memorable.
Patients with angina can either be diagnosed as having...
Research also shows that using visuals makes for 28% shorter meetings and 43% more productive meetings.
If you can produce a black and white hard copy, you can produce a transparency. It's that simple. Create your black and white original by hand, on your computer printer, or by cutting and pasting black and white clip art. You merely send the transparency film through your plain paper copier to produce a black on clear transparency. You can also make a black on clear transparency by feeding the film directly through your laser printer. Add color to your visuals and you double and triple the power of your presentation. The 3M overhead system provides you many ways to create transparencies using color. You can make color transparencies by using color background film in a plain paper copier. Or make color transparencies by using an infrared processor, commonly referred to as a thermofax or transparency maker. Most schools and businesses already have these. Or with a pen plotter, or with an inkjet printer, or thermal transfer printer. You can also take your color 35mm slide or photo and have an 8x10 color transparency made professionally. With the variety of films available, you can create professional-looking color transparencies with any system you have. Slide in 3M's colored background film to the back of your black on clear transparencies to give them a solid colored billboard effect. You can use permanent color pens to spot color special areas before the presentation. Or use washable color pens to emphasize important points by writing directly on the original visual while you are presenting. After your presentation, you can wipe off your spontaneous markings, and your original will be clean for the next time you use it. There are techniques for cutting color adhesive film to spot color your black on clear transparency. Another infrared film reverses the image or text for a visual with great impact. Back it with color film, and you've got an even more exciting visual. Another technique makes your presentation outstanding. Overlay the image of your basic reverse image transparency with another color transparency. And still another. It's something like building a rainbow.
Communications objectives today.
This next technique is excellent for title visuals. Image 2 copies of your original, one a reverse image, the other in a positive color. Frame the 2 image transparencies together, slightly offset. You can add another color for additional impact by putting a sheet of colored background film to the back of the frame. Color computers and the abundant software programs that are available make multiple color transparencies easy to produce. The possibilities are unlimited.
An increasingly popular way to present overhead visuals is with a projection panel. Projection panels are available with color or monochrome displays from the output of your computer. An overhead projector then shows the computer images live. That means you can make changes in your data and watch the updates appear immediately. Projection panels are the extra advantage for sales, training, strategy, and planning meetings. Here's a way to integrate them with transparencies for powerful dual projector presentations. Use transparencies on one projector for fixed information, such as sales forecasts or production goals. On a second projector, use a projection panel to display a range of choices. For example, individual quotas, new figures, or the latest estimates. You can revise or edit those displays at will. And everyone in the group can immediately see and compare the impact of each scenario.
How would you compare the vision for the Muslims?
Okay.
It's a dynamic, interactive tool for answering what-if questions, for analyzing the options and the alternatives. What makes a good visual? We'd like to suggest a few design tips to help you produce a good visual. These tips are applicable no matter which method you are using to produce your transparency. The foremost rule to keep in mind is a good visual starts with a good original. Too many words, details, or ideas on a sheet, faint or broken lettering, both result in visuals that are hard to read. Rule number 2 is keep it simple. Avoid too many words. An audience that is reading is not listening. Contents on your visual should summarize and not give a complete readout of your speech. After placing a new visual on the screen, pause long enough for your audience to read it before proceeding with your talk. Rule number 3. Print or set your text in large, bold type so everyone in the room can read the message. Titles and main headings should be 3 inches high when projected in an average meeting room. A solid block lettering is easier to read than thin, flowery, or outline lettering. Use only one type style per visual. For your entire presentation, limit yourself to 2 type styles. Achieve interest and variety by highlighting in color, setting text in italic or all capitals. Rule number 4. Use all capitals sparingly, reserving them for titles, subheads, and single words. Studies show that text set in upper and lowercase is easier to comprehend than that set in all capitals, especially if the text is more than one line. Rule number 5. Establish a style or pattern of repetition and follow it consistently. Use the same style and the same position for text on the sheet throughout your presentation. By position, we mean left, right, or centered. Text lined up flush left is easier to read than text that is centered. A logo should be the same size and the same position throughout the presentation. Rule number 6. Use the horizontal format for projecting your images. This will help you limit your content in preparing your visuals, since fewer lines fit horizontally than vertically. Vertical projection sometimes creates the problem of your audience's heads being silhouetted on the screen. Rule number 7. Use no more than 4 colors on a visual if at all possible. Computer software programs give you so many options that you might be tempted to use every one available to you. Avoid the temptation and keep it simple. Rule number 8. Use a graphic, a chart, diagram, line drawing, even a cartoon to communicate your data whenever possible. For example, a chart portraying the relationship of data is easier to comprehend than words in columns.
It's important to frame your visuals. Frames block out distracting light from the projector stage and presentation screen. They also keep your visual lying flat. Here you have several options to consider. There's the older conventional cardboard frame to which you tape your visual and its overlays. There is the pre-framed film, and there is the convenient flip frame transparency protector. Simply slide your completed visual into the clear plastic sleeve. There's no time-consuming mounting or taping. Your visual is protected and ready to present. Frames provide you space to number and date your visuals to keep them in order, and to write cue notes to yourself to use during your presentation. An additional advantage of the flip frame transparency protector is that you can store it in any standard file drawer. They also fit into any kind of ring binder for easy transport. Both the flip frames and pre-framed films are lighter in weight than the cardboard frames. This might make a difference if you are traveling and have to carry your presentation with you. Similarly, the flip frame transparency protectors and pre-framed films take up less room in storage.
A lot of your success in using visualization will depend on the presentation techniques and skills you develop. We'd like to share with you some proven tricks of the trade. Using visuals is a real asset to being prepared and feeling prepared. We suggest that you practice the presentation techniques we're about to show you. Become comfortable with them and able to use them smoothly. First, prior to your presentation, check to see that your projected light is centered on the screen. With proper projector and screen setup, you never need to turn around to see if your visual is straight on the screen. With just a flick of the on-off switch, you can smoothly and naturally turn the audience's attention to the screen or to yourself. You keep the audience actively moving between you and the screen. This technique helps you emphasize points as well as direct their attention. The revelation technique lets you control what your audience sees bit by bit. Simply place a sheet of paper under the visual to block out certain areas until you're ready for the group to see them. Then progressively drag the sheet down the visual as you proceed to explain the revealed portion. Another method of revelation is to hinge slips of opaque paper progressively down the side of your frame. As you're ready to reveal the next point, simply fold back the next slip of paper off the underlying visual. Overlays are still a third way to use revelation. This technique helps you simplify complicated concepts. Start with your base visual, then build your graphic in a meaningful sequence using overlays. With a pointer, you can draw attention to major points of your message. Simply place the pointer, a pencil or pen, at the item on the visual, and the pointer shadow will focus attention on the same area on the screen. And remember this advantage of using overhead projection. There's no need to turn the lights off. With overheads, your audience is more attentive. Taking notes is easier, and there's more interaction.
What can we expect in '91 as far as the industrial and the automotive?
More give and take, because no one is in the dark.
Visuals are meant to be seen. 3 things can interfere with optimal viewing. The first problem occurs when you put too much information on your visual. We've already given you some tips about preparing your visuals to avoid this problem. Similarly, if the projected image is too small or the audience is too far from the screen, there will be difficulty seeing. You should be able to read everything from a distance of 10 feet. The distance of the audience from the screen should not be more than 6 times the width of the projected image. For example, if your image is 4 feet wide, the audience should be within 24 feet of the screen. The third problem that can interfere with optimal viewing is the seating arrangement. Someone's head is in the way. The room should be arranged so that no one's view is blocked, nor do you want some unwanted images on your screen. The type of meeting you plan to hold can affect not only your choice of room, but also how that room will be arranged. Here are a number of tried and true layout arrangements. The U-shaped table is the best of the bunch when you want to encourage participation and expect a lot of discussion. It's a natural for face-to-face communication and is ideal for groups of 20 and under. Sometimes we refer to this arrangement as the herringbone pattern. The classroom arrangement is suitable for audiences of almost any size for work, lecture, instructional, or training meetings. Note how the herringbone pattern lets participants see one another, and the tables provide plenty of workspace. Often the center table is the only arrangement possible in a small room. It's a good format for discussions involving 6 to 12 people. Use the auditorium setting when you expect little participation. Your major concern here is that your screen is large enough and clearly visible to all. You might also need some kind of voice amplification. The amphitheater is the best setting for presentations of short to moderate length. Here, the audience sits on elevated levels in half circles around the speaker. This configuration permits the seating of more people per square foot of floor space than other arrangements, and yet puts everyone relatively close to you. The entire audience will have a clear view of you and the projection screen. In small offices that lack a conference table, the best approach when using visuals is to set up a desktop overhead projector at one end of the desk. You're behind the desk and project onto a screen or light-colored wall. This works fine for a group no larger than 5. Dual projectors can be used in several of the room arrangements already shown. The major advantage is that it allows you, and perhaps a second presenter, to introduce a series of key points on one screen, while using the second screen to show details of the key points, or to present information in 2 languages. Generally, the screen is placed in the corner of the room at an angle, so you won't obstruct the view of some participants. When you place the screen at an angle, it is preferable for the angle to be 40 degrees or less. Most white matte screens perform best within this range. Beaded or lenticular screens are not as efficient for angle viewing. Have you ever noticed sometimes the distortion of the projected image on the screen? The image shape resembles that of a keystone. This is the result of the angle of the projector to the screen or wall. Most screens nowadays have keystone eliminators that angle the screen to the projector's angle.
We've suggested many reasons for using visuals in your next business meeting or class hour. The one thing we haven't mentioned, the personal pride and satisfaction you feel when you overhear someone saying as they leave your presentation,
The presentation was wonderful. I got a lot out of it.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you could come. Did you understand?